Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm checking out the Emax Babyhawk. Now, Emax are known for their popular red bottom 5-inch motors, and they are a high performance premium motor, so I have high expectations of this guy. So it's a 85mm brushless micro, and I've been having a lot of requests to check this one out, and I think that is because of the price of it. So it costs £80, which is fairly cheap for a brushless micro. However, there's a couple of things to take into consideration. First of all is it doesn't come with a battery, so that's going to be extra cost, and it's a plug and fly, and it doesn't come with a receiver either, so you're going to have to add that. This is one of those little D8 telemetry FR Sky receivers, and it doesn't come with any instructions either, so I sort of had to reverse engineer how to plug the receiver in there. And we have these 3 pins at the front here, and I think the idea is to have a servo connector to fit over the top of them. However, a bog standard servo connector doesn't fit. The pins are too close together and too small, and the servo connector gets in the way of this camera here, so I've had to solder them on. And you can see that 3 pins, so you've got signal, 5 volt, and then also the ground here as well, and that was pretty tricky to solder in. Now, this is a 5 volt receiver. However, there is the option just under here on the flight controller to have a 3 volt. You can't see it because my wires are in the way, but it's labeled there 3 volt pad. So if you want to use a Spectrum receiver as well, you can, but I have just used some sticky foam on there to keep the receiver on the back. So as you do not get given a battery, I am going to be using one of the eSheen batteries. Actually, this is a 2S 450 milliamp battery, ATC, and it is designed for a 2S battery, really. So let's talk about some of the specs. We have got these propellers here, and they are proprietary Emax propellers there, and you can see that all 4 of the screws go into the motor there, and they are 2, 3, 4, 5 propellers, and they screw on to these motors here, and they are Emax motors, but we don't have any branding on them. They are 1104 5000 kV motors. And then we have got the ESCs here, and they're not an all-in-one. They are individual ESCs, and they are 6 amp BL Heli S ESCs, and those connect into this flight controller, so it's kind of like a mini power distribution board as well, but it's an SP Racing F3 Evo, so you know it's gonna have Betaflight on it, and the setup in Betaflight was very good, by the way. However, you might be thinking 5000 kV motors, that's a little bit low these days for a 2S, and I think you're right. I do think that this model, even though the ESCs are only rated to a 2-cell, I do think a 3-cell is going to be fine, and I will be testing that a little bit later. I think this one on a 2S isn't going to have a lot of power, but on a 3S maybe a little bit more. So we have these protectors here on it, and those are actually screwed in to the motors, so you are given these smaller screws here if you want to remove them, which is a little bit of a pain. So I'm going to keep these on. So the model weighs 71 grams without a battery, and then with a 2-cell battery it weighs 100 grams there. So yeah, we also have this all-in-one camera as well. So it's got a sleeve dipole antenna rather than cloverleaf, which is good because if you want to fly this indoors, then if you crash it, then we aren't going to get a splattered antenna on the top there. One thing I will say about the camera is it's in very nicely, has this cover over it, but it is at quite an angle which you cannot adjust. So flying indoors, if you are having it at that tilt, it's going to be very fast. So maybe this is just going to be an outdoor model. Anyways, we have got this button on the back there which lets you go through all of the channels. Now, oddly, some of the Fat Shark channels are missing, so I don't know why they have done that, but yeah, only catches a couple of the Fat Shark immersion channels on there. But you know, you've got the different bands and things like that and the individual channels that you can go through on this here. So yeah, bear that in mind with this model. So I have set up a model on my Tyrannus, and as I say, the Betaflight setup was pretty much perfect. The way that it's set up out of the box, if you want to bind straight to it, is it is set up to have its arm on the rudder, and then you've got two modes. You've got on the auxiliary one, you've got acro, so it'd be on a 2-position switch, acro, and then angle up here. Now, of course, I have changed that, so I have set up a extra channel, so I've got it to arm on here, and then I have set up acro, and then angle, and then acro, and also air mode. That's a setting that I really like. So it's set up in D8, and I have also checked the failsafe. And another thing that I had to do was the channel map was wrong. The Betaflight setup was set up for an S-bus receiver, so serial RX selected and then S-bus. However, it was not set up for the channel map of the Tyrannus. It was set up as AETR, and a Tyrannus is TAER, so I had to change that. I also bumped up the Super 8 to 0.8 as well. It's 0.7 out of the box. I'm going to be using my Fat Shark Dominator HD3s for FPV, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later. As for other stuff that you get in this package, we have got a spare set of these proprietary props, and the box that it comes in, it's quite nice actually. It fits in whole, which I'm a big fan of because storage can be an issue with these models. So let's go and take it for a fly. Okay, let's go for a takeoff. This is with the 450 milliamp 2S battery from the Ishin models. I'm in angle mode. Let's check out the punch. So, not mind-blowing, such as the AR Fun was, but you know, it's no slouch either. I bet it would have more power with that prop protector removed. Get it close to the camera. Okay, let's see what the Acura mode is like. This is acro and also air mode as well. Seems fairly stable. Do a nice slow backflip, otherwise I may lose orientation with it. That seems alright. Yeah, pretty smooth. Not much wind here today though. Bit of a quicker one there because I did it a bit low down. Hey, it's got plenty of power to mess around with, just not as impressive as the AR Fun or those other Ishin models. Not quite sure why that is really. Maybe it's the motors. It's still a lot of fun though. Yeah, really nice and accurate. I'm hearing a little bit of a, I think it might be a vibration on full throttle, or it's a hesitation or something like that, you know. Let's try it again. No, it's alright actually. I really do like flying these line of sight just as much as FPV these days. I don't do anything crazy, but yeah, I find it really fun. Anyway, let's come in for a landing and I'll do some FPV with it. So as the model seemed to be lacking power with the 2S battery compared to its competitors, I went and put the 3S battery on for the FPV flight. But I will tell you, it doesn't really benefit from a 3S battery. So at the start of the line of sight flight, when I was doing the punch outs, there was a little bit of vibration and wobble coming from those propellers there. And when I stuck the 3S battery on and did a punch out, at the top of the throttle there was so much vibration and wobble, it wasn't gaining any extra height than it was with the 2S battery. Can you see there? It's a little wobble. I'm trying to gain height, but it just wouldn't do it. So I do think this model is designed just for a 2-cell battery. I don't think that the ESCs are sort of bottoming out because there's too many amps going through them. It's a physical thing I can hear with the propellers. So what I would say though is the stock Betaflight tune works really well on this model. It's a very fast model, as I say, because of that camera facing forward, and the flight time was about 3.5 minutes. So what I would say is this, right? For me personally, I think the AR Fun is a better model. It's more expensive, yes, but it's got a receiver and a battery. Okay, the battery on the AR Fun was no good. I had to use one of these Eachine batteries, otherwise it would brown out. So there is that to take into consideration. But, you know, there's no voltage buzzer with this one. There's no telemetry, and the power isn't amazing. And then when you compare that to the AR Fun, which has a buzzer, it has an on-screen display, and with a 2S it performs better than this one does on a 3S. Now that's not to take anything away from this model. It was really fun to fly. It's just that I think if you've got a little bit more cash, then I think I would direct you to the AR Fun model. Now, I do think the camera on this one is better. That's something that is a weakness on the Aurora models. Now, this flight was taken at around dusk time, and it's still managing to pick out the area really clearly, and that is something that you don't get with the AR Fun. It's a bit of a washed out image when it comes to the camera, and it broke up a lot more. So I think if that's important to you, then maybe this model is better for you. And I do think if we found better props that would fit on this model, then it will perhaps have a little bit more punch. But like I say, it's been limited by some sort of vibration at the top end, which can be a problem with these small models because we're talking such low tolerances when it comes to vibrations. But there you go, that is my review of the Emax Babyhawk. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.